welcome to this month's Fintech Firebrand. I'm Virginie O'Shea, founder of Firebrand Research, and I'm here to chat to you about this month's FinReg and Fintech news. Now, there's been a lot of regulatory activity over the last few weeks. Certainly, there's been a lot of discussions across both sides of the pond. ESMA at the moment is doing a world tour, so has been in Hong Kong and Japan over the last couple of weeks, interestingly. Hong Kong held its first ever Green Week this year, so looking at the sustainability topic at large, looking at how to foster greater green investments. They've also been very active on green bond issuance as well. So certainly very interesting to see the engagement between different regulators on that topic, HKMA and ESMA being two of them there, but there's plenty of engagement going on internationally as well. On the topic of climate, this month, or this week, in fact, the SEC also put out and voted on its significantly watered down climate proposals, which has brought in sort of both a huge amount of industry commentary. They had a consultation not that long ago related to what was going on with regards to those proposals. And certainly there's been a lot of industry pushback on some of the changes. Hence, they have decided to water down the proposals which will disappoint environmentalists out there, no doubt. They did receive thousands of comment letters and some litigation threats from the industry about entering into imposing new climate disclosure requirements. So they are going to be much softer than the proposals they issued back, I think it was in March 2022. The biggest change, I guess, from the perspective of the filings for institutions out there, for corporations, is that supply chains and customers are not going to be encompassed within disclosures. So I think the first proposals were fairly far-reaching. The industry pushback was that it would be extremely expensive and time-consuming to be able to track that data. We expect that this means that they're going to be stuck between a rock and a hard place. They may see complaints from both sides with regards to those that are pro-climate action versus those that are obviously not focused on wanting to publish this information. So this will be interesting to see how the SEC resolves some of these issues going forward. Another interesting regulatory trackback comes from the US bank regulators as well. This month, we've seen the House Financial Services Committee members having a discussion with Powell from the bank regulator side. And there was discussion there about Basel Endgame, maybe nominative determinism here, but it looks like there are going to be substantial revisions, as Powell said, to the Basel Endgame proposals that have received quite a lot of, again, negative feedback from the industry about the impact of the new incoming capital requirements rules. So expect change here. There's, I think, one of the biggest things that we're struggling with in the market is a lot of regulatory uncertainty, particularly in the US. And as I said in the last episode, there's obviously an election happening over there as well. That's adding to this sort of uncertainty about a lot of these rules. And there's certainly a lot of debate going on about what the long-lasting changes are going to be once the election happens as well. Another interesting development this side of the pond, the UK Financial Conduct Authority this month has also issued some must-do better requirements for the industry with regards to anti-money laundering. A recent study by the FCA has indicated that there are significant anti-AML failings on the part of firms to which that report to the FCA. They have noted discrepancies between registered and actual activities. So firms are not doing or saying and not doing the things that they're saying. And there's been some degree of lacking market practices around customer and client activity monitoring and not enough resources being put into fighting fin crime from the perspective of the SCA. So certainly expect much more focus on this. The FCA said in the report that these are basic failings, and it definitely is something that they will see to have resolved from the industry. Could be very good news for those in the AML space, in the fintech space, with regards to more investment in that space. But manage to, if they manage to compel firms to change their market practices, certainly expect more enforcement action and activities in that space going forward. Another big piece of news from us this month, our research on the true cost of settlement failures was released this month, and it shows the eye-watering number of penalties and man hours and technology investments that firms, or lack of technology investments, hence the manual processes, that are costing the industry over the last decade just shy of $1 trillion in total, which is quite a lot of money to be spending on something that could be better addressed by investments in key areas across the middle and back office. Now, certainly it's taken us quite a long time to put the research out. It's taken the best part of a year, given the lack of statistics out there, reliable statistics for settlement failures themselves. The way that they're counted by individual organizations varies. So there had to be some degree of normalization to be able to pull those stats together. Also, likewise, with regards to penalties, it's not always obvious how much is being paid per month. There is some reporting by the likes of Target 2 Securities, but by no means is it consistent across all of the different infrastructures out there. So it's taken a little while. We've also been tracking, how many man hours, how long it's taking, how much that's costing in terms of operational staff, averaging out the costs of those staff in various locations. So understanding that has taken a little while, but now we have our figures that we feel very comfortable about sharing with the industry. And hopefully, given that we have the move to T+1 in the North American markets in May, we'll make some progress as an industry in addressing some of these issues. If not before, certainly they need to be addressed afterwards, because you can expect that the costs of fails will go up as the increased number of fails happens unfortunately post-May. And the deadline there. So we can expect that there'll be an increase in fails, unfortunately. But that's to be expected, but hopefully it will compel the industry to make key investments. So definitely, if you're working in post-trade, please do use the stats we have to help you convince your senior managers to make those key investments. Now, my final words for this month, it's International Women's Day again. I think every year I get somewhat irate or depressed about the lack of progress we are making as an industry. I think on this, I've frequently talked about the need for diversity of all kinds to be taken more seriously as the industry, continues on. I think we've seen a lot less investment, for example, in women-owned businesses. According to WEF figures, there about 2% of all overall investment goes into women established businesses, which is, quite frankly pathetic as we look at it from the gender balance perspective. Certainly, that's even lower when you look at women of color. Very, very small fraction there. So it's certainly something that needs to be addressed in some way. There's a very heavily male-dominated private equity and venture capital space in terms of who the senior decision makers are there. So we need to look at investment and why investment is not being channeled in that direction. We also need to think about how we're evaluating businesses and whether biases are coming into play on that front. And this is not something that women can solve on their own. So I think with regards to changes that need to be made, I think we need to be talking about these on the main stage at events. I know a lot of conference organizers, and again, I've complained about this before on these episodes, but I think conference organizers need to realize that women-only breakfasts are one thing, but certainly we need to have diversity as a topic on the main stage, in the main session, in the main day, and have both men and women in the audience hearing about what needs to be done, and having a panel of people that are in charge as well, not just people, not just women. It should not be a women-only panel. This is something that I think everyone in the industry needs to take ownership of. Now, hopefully that will be taken on board by someone out there. I know that International Women's Day is always going to have some degree of tokenism, token gestures, pink, frilly commentary on various social channels to make reference to the progress of women or the championing of women, but it shouldn't just be one day a year where you make this kind of comment. As an organization, you really need to look at addressing how the women are promoted within the organization and fair compensation across all aspects of your workforce as well. So with that, hopefully we will see more progress in the coming years. I really do hope so. But for now, I think International Women's Day, take the time to think about how your organization can change rather than making a token comment about women more generally.